Here are the top stories for today, November 29, 2019. President Duterte defends House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano amid allegations of corruption in the 30th SEA Games. Malacanang hints Vice President Leni Robredo may be fabricating her alleged findings on the government's war on drugs. China dismisses fears of threats on national security over its state grid's co-ownership of the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines. And AFP defends one of its officials as he attends a forum by progressive groups. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. President Rodrigo Duterte on Thursday said he believes in the integrity of his ally House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano, who has been in hot water following the supposed blunders and irregularities in the Philippines' hosting of the 30th Southeast Asian Games. Duterte said Cayetano will not use the government funds earmarked for the biennial regional sports meet to engage in corrupt activities. Duterte said he is not investigating Cayetano but just trying to find if the money is not properly dispersed. He adds that Cayetano could not handle everything and has to delegate the tasks to others.
Do not create a firestorm now because we are in the thick of preparation. Let us investigate after, and I assure you, I will investigate. I am sure Cayetano is not involved in corruption.
Meanwhile, Albay Representative Joey Salceda on Wednesday said there was no need for the House of Representatives to probe the SEA Games mess since Cayetano is the top leader of the lower chamber of Congress. Meanwhile, Fisgok assured Filipinos that the hosting of the 30th SEA Games will become successful despite the early challenges. Although things went relatively smooth on Day 5, the concern that more problems could arise after the early loopholes remain, including probes that could take place right after the end of the event on December 11. Fisgok insisted that it is ready to face the investigations and will also look into the erroneous reports during the past few days. In a statement, Fisgok said the organizing committee remains focused on ensuring the success of the Philippine hosting of the 30th SEA Games and assures the public that all government regulations have been observed in this great endeavor. Malacanang on Thursday insinuated that Vice President Leni Robredo is taking her time releasing the findings on the Duterte administration's campaign against illegal drugs because she is still fabricating them. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo questioned why Robredo decided to release her discoveries only after being fired as co-chair of ICAD and not earlier. He also raised doubts on the legitimacy of the findings because it seemed that she was taking too long to release them. The palace also denied that Duterte made a miscalculation by daring Robredo to take on the challenge of being drug czar, only to be shocked she would accept it. Meanwhile, President Duterte spewed harsh words against Robredo for always talking with foreign personalities and institutions who have prejudged his administration's campaign on illegal drugs instead of providing ways to improve it. Duterte said that instead of talking to people directly involved in the anti-narcotics drive, Robredo preferred to meet with foreigners who relied on the opposition's false information on the drug war.
Mga statements na mayroong mga gano'n na marami pa akong information na bantay kayo. She made an asshole of herself. Always talking. Ang ayaw ko doon, the first thing she did was to go to the embassy of the United States of America, then to the UN and to the EU, kung ano-ano. Instead of talking to the law enforcement, instead of talking to the barangay captains, instead of talking to itong mga tao handling the rehabilitation, sabi ko, she made an asshole of herself.
President Rodrigo Duterte said he would rather lead the police force himself if he could not decide on whom he would appoint as the next PNP chief. Duterte said he was taking his time in deciding who will be the next PNP chief because he is still conducting an extensive background check to ensure the next top cop is free of corruption cases. Duterte admitted that he failed to fulfill his campaign promise to end the illegal drug trade within 6 months because he did not know the gravity of the country's drug problem until he became president. He also admitted that there were so many things that the police has to improve on.
Isa pa itong mga pulis. Hintay kayo dyan. So many things that the police has to improve on. Unless I think that I see the very best guy there. You show me, tell me, kayong mga police, tell me who's the best to handle the command. Bigyan mo lang ako ta. Just give me an honest man, period.
President Duterte vowed to meet the needs of overseas Filipino workers by creating more work and livelihood opportunities for them in the country. The president made the vow as he acknowledged the OFW's significant contributions to the country as well as their ultimate sacrifices for their families. Duterte led the awarding of the 2019 Model Overseas Filipino Worker Family of the Year Award at Malacanang's Heroes Hall on Thursday night. He praised OWA and the Labor Department for recognizing the OFWs through an annual search that showcases the workers' best practices despite the challenges they need to face while they are away from the country and their loved ones. In line with this, President Duterte has repeatedly expressed his desire for the government to control and supervise the recruitment process of OFWs. He ordered the Department of Social Welfare and Development and the Department of Labor and Employment to enhance their efforts against the illegal recruitment of OFWs in the Middle East. Last July, Duterte said there should be a separate Department of Overseas Filipino Workers established by the end of the year to prevent abusive recruiters from harming more Filipinos. More than 30 bills proposing the creation of a separate OFWs department have been filed at the House of Representatives and the Senate. Still to come, China dismisses fears of threats on national security over its state grid's co-ownership of the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines. The Labor Department reports an increase in the number of employed senior citizens. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Pilipinas, mayroon na tayong magandang facility. Suportahan natin ang ating mga atleta para sa karangalan ng ating bansa. We win as one.
The Chinese government has dismissed fears over State Grid Corporation of China's co-ownership of the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines. In a briefing on Wednesday, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Geng Shuan said the allegation of China's control over the Philippines' power grid or threat to the country's national security is completely groundless. Shuang asked the public to look at the cooperation between the Philippines and China in an open, objective, and impartial manner. And as Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Geng Shuan allayed Filipinos' fears that China has control over the Philippines' power infrastructure, President Duterte says he sees no problem with China's co-ownership of the NGCP. This as some senators and former Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio have raised concerns over China's co-ownership of the NGCP. Carpio on Tuesday said Beijing's control of NGCP should be a cause for concern because it would be easy for the foreign country to shut down the Philippines' power grid.
This is not a brief for China. wala man tayong issues to worry about going to war with China. And if are going to war with China, even ang the main complaint would be yung dyan sa Spratly. Kung maggera tayo, in 1 hour tapos ang ating armed forces. And their jets can arrive here in 7 minutes. I do not have that capability. I cannot fight China because I do not have the armaments. And China has talked to us through me. Kulang ba ang Pilipino ng trust? But I trust them. I take their word for it.
The number of senior citizens aged 65 and above that are now employed this year have increased to about 1.8 million, according to the Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE. More on these and other news around the metro from Bench Bondoc.
The Department of Labor and Employment noted an increase in the number of employed senior citizens, particularly those aged 65 and above. DOLE said based on the recent labor force survey, some 1.8 million are employed aged 65 and over this year. Earlier, DOLE, the city of Pasay, and McDonald's Philippines signed a memorandum of agreement wherein the fast food chain firm will employ over 100 senior citizens and persons with disabilities at their 40 stores located in Pasay. Meanwhile, the Court of Appeals turned down a motion for reconsideration filed by broadcast firm GMA Network, questioning its decision in a labor case which was in favor of 97 of its talents. The court said the firm failed to present new evidence to bolster its case. The CA ruling upheld its earlier decision on the case, declaring members of the Talents Association of GMA Network, or TAG, as regular employees of the broadcast firm. Of the complainants, the longest employed was with the company since January 2002. In other news, government nurses could get their much-needed salary hike as early as January next year once the 2020 General Appropriations Act is enacted into law. This after the Senate adopted one of Senator Panfilo Lacson's amendments in the Senate version of the National Expenditure Program, which will increase the salary grade of nurses. In October, the Supreme Court upheld the validity of a provision of Republic Act 9173 or the Philippine Nursing Act of 2002, which sets the minimum pay for government nurses to salary grade 15 or over 30,000 pesos a month. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Bench Bondoc.
President Duterte approved the creation of the Philippine Railways Institute to ensure efficient, reliable, and safe railway transportation services in the country. Under Executive Order 96, which the President signed on November 21st, the PRI will be placed under the administrative supervision of the Department of Transportation. It will serve as the planning, implementing, and regulatory agency for human resources development in the railway sector. The PRI will coordinate with government agencies to assist in the formulation of guidelines on human resources development and other matters. It will also assist in the enforcement of laws, rules, and regulations in the field of human resources development for the railway sector. Up next, the AFP defends one of its officials as he attends a forum by progressive groups. And a cop dies in a grenade attack inside a school campus in Misamis Oriental. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Sa CET, wala naman pong sinabing kailangan po ng gender preference para po makasali sa CET. And wala rin naman pong nire-require na sexuality para po makatulong sa komunidad. Ako po si Rainiel Cruz, 15 years old, from Santolan High School, and currently I am taking and training of citizenship advancement training. Yung pag-CAT ko po, pinili ko po siyang mag-training ng CAT dahil po marami rin po kasi nagsasabi sa akin na kakilala ko pong bakla na di po sila magte-take ng training dahil daw po sa gender preference na. Pero ako po, nag-take po ako ng training dahil gusto ko rin pong matutunan yung mga basic na pinag-aaralan sa citizenship advancement training po. Hindi naman po ako natakot na sumunod sa patakaran nila and yung military training po na sinasabi dito, never naman pong makaka-apekto sa akin yun and kaya ko naman pong gawin kahit mag-military training po. Katulad ko po nagtitake po ng CAT. If ever po na mag-ROTC po ako sa senior high, may alam na po ako sa basic military needs and drills po na pwede rin po namin gawin sa ROTC. Bilang nagtitake po ako ng CAT, napag-aaralan din po namin yung tamang pakikipagsalamuha sa iba pong tao. And yung training po na ginagawa po namin, hindi lang po siya para dahil po required, kundi po para rin po mapag-aralan po yung pwede rin po namin gagawin sa ROTC pag nag-senior high po kami. Doon po sa mga nag-aakalang mahirap, yung mga sumasalungat po sa ROTC, tandaan lang po natin, ROTC will definitely benefit young Filipinos and teach us patriotism. And it will help our country to be prepared. Siyempre po, bilang isa pong estudyante, wala naman pong ibang mga ngalaga po sa bansa natin kundi tayo lang pong mamamayan ng Pilipinas. Kaya sa pamamagitan po ng CAT, magkakaroon po tayo ng kaalaman about sa ROTC po. And can we just devotedly serve our motherland and offer our own lives to serve our country no matter what our gender preference is. The important is, how can you help your country?
The Armed Forces of the Philippines defended on Thursday one of its ranking officials who attended a forum organized by progressive groups. AFP spokesperson Edgar Arevalo said Major General Antonio Parlade Jr. of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict went to the forum in his personal capacity. Arevalo also belied claims that Parlade, who is also AFP Deputy Chief of Staff for Civil Military Operations, went to the forum to spread lies and disinformation. Parlade barred from asking a question and was made to leave the venue. The forum, organized by the National Union of People's Lawyers and the Movement Against Tyranny, was about the alleged weaponization of the law and crackdown on dissenters.
So si Major General Parlade, ayon sa kanya, pumunta siya doon upang magtanong naman kung doon sa pinag-uusapan ano bang magiging kalakaran ng usapan at kung may na-discuss doon, baka naman pwede siyang magtanong. Sapagkat tinignan ko naman yung invitation nila Weng sa Facebook, wala naman nakalagay na to members of NUP lamang.
To the public.
Or to, hindi, nakalagay doon
open
open to come and join us and listen to this program. And then nung dumating na, I think doon sa part ng open forum, hindi ko masyadong nakumpleto yung detalye, he raised his hand to ask question.
Okay.
And good enough, one of them, hindi ko na nabanggit yung pangalan, pinayagan naman siya magtanong. But one other person prevented him. Got the microphone from him and prevented him from talking or asking. And then he was asked to leave the place and he was escorted outside of the place. Ang purpose lang ni General Parlade, according to him, is to ask his questions and to present the alternative truth.
The Cordillera region is placed on alert as Typhoon Kamuri approaches the country. Meanwhile, suspected communist rebels fired at 2 health workers who were supposed to give polio vaccines. More on these and other news from the provinces from Janice Capen.
The Cordillera Regional Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council has placed the whole region on blue alert status as Typhoon Kamuri approaches the country. Pag-asa is closely monitoring Kamuri's movement as it is set to enter the Philippine area of responsibility on Saturday morning. Local disaster councils are advised to identify response operation requirements, evacuate residents in danger zones, and assure the availability of supplies and the readiness of evacuation centers. Mining operations have also been suspended as a preemptive measure. Meanwhile, the Regional Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict has launched its flagship program to bring about development and security in the region. The Zamboanga Peninsula Area for Peace and Development aims to coordinate efforts for the clearing of areas influenced by the Communist Party of the Philippines, New People's Army. DSWD Undersecretary for Inclusive and Sustainable Peace, Rene Glenn Paje, has enjoined all concerned stakeholders to support the RTF-LCAC and the government to attain a just and lasting peace and sustainable development. Zamboanga del Sur Governor Victor Yu has assured residents that his administration is seriously implementing programs to bring about progress in conflict-affected communities. In other news, the Police Regional Office in Caraga Region condemned the attack on 2 health workers of Quicharao Town in Agusan del Norte last Wednesday in a mountain village known to be frequented by the New People's Army. Police said Municipal Head Nurse Ingrid Ramos Archinue and midwife Jennifer Morales Viterbo were on board a vehicle when fired upon by the suspected NPA members. Archinue and Viterbo were in the area for the Sabayang Patak Contra Polio campaign of the Department of Health. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
The president of the Negros Oriental Chamber of Commerce and Industry has asked the Presidential Communications Operations Office, or PCOO, to conduct a roadshow on the ease of doing business law. Francel Martinez, who is also a member of the Negros Oriental Investment and Promotion Center, made the suggestion during the PCOO 16th roadshow at Silliman University on Wednesday. Martinez said it would help the business sector if PCOO would conduct another roadshow on the ease of doing business, considering the tedious processes for starting a business venture. He also suggested that the implementing rules and regulations of the Ease of Doing Business Act be short, simple, and understandable even by a grade 6 student. FOI Philippines Program Director Christian Ablan, meanwhile, said that they will take note of Martinez's suggestion. Once everything is in place, Ablan said the PCOO will come up with an audio-visual presentation explaining the ease of doing business law by next year. A police officer in Initao, Misamis Oriental was killed in a grenade explosion that also wounded 11 others inside a college campus on Thursday. Police Master Sergeant Jason Magno died along with Ibrahim Basher, the carrier of the hand grenade that exploded in the covered court of Initao College. 10 students were injured along with Magno's colleague, Sergeant Alice Balido, who was rushed to a hospital in Cagayan de Oro City. An amateur video showed that Magno and several other police officers negotiated with Basher, who was reported as creating trouble inside the campus. The last seconds of the video saw Magno running to the explosion area. Police suspect Basher went amok as he was questioned by the Department of Environment and Natural Resources in Initao over some questionable logs in his truck. Brigadier General Rolando Anduyan, Director of Police Regional Office 10, appealed to the public to pray for the recovery of Balido and the other victims. Here now is the latest in our community billboard. The Department of Tourism is now accepting volunteer sports liaison officers, or SLOs, for the ongoing 2019 SEA Games. Applicants must be emotionally mature, 21 years of age and above, and localized for familiarity purposes. SLOs are responsible in taking care of the athletes and ensuring that they meet their schedules. SLOs are expected to accompany the teams as needed, and there will be no maximum shift hours. Volunteers will receive 800 pesos as daily allowance, meals, P2P transportation provision, and uniforms. Those interested are encouraged to submit their details via email to volunteers.manila@2019seagames.com or sea2019.@gmail.com.
Magandang hapon nga sa atin lahat at ito ang magiging lagay ng panahon para sa araw ng Biyernes, November 29, 2019. Makikita natin dito sa ating satellite image rin nga, ito pa rin yung ating bagyong binabantayan nito si Typhoon Kamuri na as of 3 p.m. ngayon nasa layong 1,455 kilometers silangan pa rin niya ng katimugang Luzon. Nagtataglay ito ng hanging aabot nga ng 140 kilometers per hour malapit sa gitna at pagbugso ng hanging aabot ng 170 kilometers per hour. Bukas ng gabi o sa linggo ng umaga, nating inaasa papasok ka ng Philippine Area of Responsibility ang nasabing bagyo at bibigyan natin nga ng pangalang Tisoy. Ito may kalakasang bagyo nga natatama dito sa ating kalupaan. So iba yung pag-iingat at paghahanda ng ating ipinapayaw. Ngayon pa lamang, bago pa pumasok ng ating area of responsibility, itong si Bagyong Tisoy. And at this moment, wala pa rin man din itong inaasahan natin na epekto sa anumang bahagi ng ating bansa. Kaya patuloy na northeast monsoon, hanging amihan na nakakapekto nga sa kabuuan ng Luzon, na magdadala pa rin yan na maulap na papawiri na may kalat-kalat na pagulan dyan sa Cagayan, Cordillera at sa probinsya nga ng Aurora at Quezon. At dito naman sa Metro Manila na lalabing bahagi naman ng Luzon ay maliwanag sa panahon, maliban lamang sa mga pulupulong may hinang pagulan. Samantalang ang Palawan, Visayas at ang buong Mindanao area ay magkakaroon pa rin tayo nga ng maliwanag sa panahon, maliban lamang sa mga isolated rain showers, dala pa rin yan ng ating mga localized thunderstorm.
And here's another look at today's biggest stories. President Duterte defends House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano amid allegations of corruption in the 30th SEA Games. Malacanang hints Vice President Leni Robredo may be fabricating her alleged findings on the government's war on drugs. China dismisses fears of threats on national security over its state grid's co-ownership of the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines. And AFP defends one of its officials as he attends a forum by progressive groups. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check out more news content, check our webpage or head on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And it is 26 days before Christmas and officially the last telecast for November, and December finally rolls around. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I am William Theo. Good day.